What's up, guys? Today I have a little special video for you. I'm on Harald's YouTube channel watching him play a 1v1 with Race on Slated Hatred. It's about 3 years ago, but I chose this video because it's very high level professional play, and I thought it was a really good example watching from Harald's point of view, him start his base and expand, protect his expansion. And I just wanted to make some annotations and commentary on his play, just so you can see what it looks like at the high level, and it might give you some tips for your own starts and your own plays. So let's go have a look at Harald play, and I'll break down what I'm noticing as I watch him. So he's just loaded into the game, and he immediately starts with a solar first. Now he's starting with the solar first because he's got 1,000 energy and 1,000 metal immediately in the bank. So he may as well start using that, right? Instead of walking to a max, it's wasted time. So he immediately drops the solar, and then he heads to this spot right in the back of the map. This is the furthest most corner of the map. There's two mech spots here. Two is better than one. Instead of having to go here and then walk over here, it's lost time, right? And time is absolutely important. So he drops that solar, goes and drops the two mechs. And now he's going straight into what is it? He's going straight into another solar because he wants to drop a lab. And normally you might go and fill all three of these mech spots, but on this particular map, speed is of the utmost importance. So he wants to get this lab out quickly. There's nothing wrong with doing it as long as you make sure that you manage your metal income and you don't run out. He knows what he's doing, so he's dropping that lab. He's played this map many times before. He knows that he can build this lab and will still have enough metal to supply his production line. And while he's waiting for that, he's checking out the map, scanning for different obstacles and metal paths. He immediately builds two cons because there's no point building an army if you're only going to run out of metal. Let's see what he does with his cons. I apologize for the low quality here. This video was only uploaded in 720, and I'm obviously just screen recording it as well. So first off the bat, he gets this one con and immediately starts a nice straight line up here expanding. He drops basically only mexes and a radar. You know, there's no defense at this point. He's going to use units to defend. You'll see that in a minute. So he gives this con some commands to start expanding. And while he's waiting for the second con, he goes and fills this metal spot, and then he'll duck back here to finish assisting the lab. Still has energy, still has metal, getting a little low. So I'll just go back there a little bit. So, oops. So he changes his build queue. He's decided to build two Peewees, which is the lowest cost unit. And I assume that those Peewees are going to protect one of these cons. And then he's going back to building another con. So first con is off in this direction. Second con is out in this direction. He's got a mech spot, nice two mech spots here. So this is a good pathway for this con to follow because immediately he's going to get quite a little bit of metal from that. And I assume this is going to be radar. It could be an LLT, but I'm pretty sure it'll be radar. We'll soon find out. Maybe that last square that he dropped was the... So see how he's building solar in between his bases, in between the cons. So this way he's not stalling. So he's constantly keeping an eye up here on his energy, and he's only building energy when he needs to. He's not building a big row of solars. That would be a waste. He's only building the solars as he needs them, keeping an eye on his his energy supply. Like I said, this is high level play, but the idea here is to get the units out as quick as possible. And he's got these two peewees, and they're headed up north to start scouting the area. He knows that Ray's is going to be sending scouts and harassment, so he needs to get these units out so they can protect his mexes. Losing a single mex can put you behind in the game because it's not just the loss of the metal, but it's the time that it takes for the con to get back and rebuild. So 2 cons are on expansion, and his 3rd con is on energy. So he's building a row of solars and a geo. That is going to give him plenty of energy to get going. Now he's switching back to battle units. And you'll notice each con has at least one peewee nearby, so that if anything comes near, at least there's one unit here to defend. Keeping an eye on his energy constantly. All right, so now he sees some units coming in here. Immediately sees some units coming in, and he's responding. Right, he's selecting his battle units, and he's drawing them toward the enemy because he doesn't want Race to get a single shot laid on. Pumping another con out. The cons that he has are relatively protected. He's switching back to battle units. He's possibly using a command called Control S here, which is selecting all battle units on screen. As soon as those weasels are defeated, he immediately repositions them back to be in the safest position. So he's just given his 4th con an order to expand. This is his 1st con now. He wants to start heading in this direction now. He's already expanded up to here, but now he wants to go up here, and so he's sending his battle units off first to make sure that it's safe before sending the con. Right, and this is what these guys are doing here too. He knows that this con is about to start venturing out, so he uses these units to start, fanning out and looking for threats. This is probably radar and a couple of LLTs. Yep, so that's radar there. So this will be a radar, but this will probably be an LLT. You can't see him typing the keyboard shortcuts, but this is most likely what it would be. So at the moment, as you can see, he's saved quite a lot of resources. He hasn't built any crazy heavy defense right now because it's very early game and he's trying to use the most of his metal. What he's doing is he's using units to create protection. He controls he controls basically all this territory because he can see what's coming and he can respond accordingly. He's not building a big fortified fortress or anything like that. The amount of metal that he has access to is so low at this point in the game. So building units is a very efficient way that you can send out units and control area and defend against what's coming. And then once the defenses have been destroyed, they can then start to be used, repurposed for attack as the new units come off the production line. So see how his units are all spread out here? They're spread out for a reason. He's using this line of sight as basically a radar, you know what I mean? So he can see what's coming, and he does notice, I think, that there is a scout here that's gotten through. Okay, so he saw that scout, and he's telling this con to go back here and guard this mech, because as that weasel shoots the mech, if this unit is repairing it, it's going to take that weasel a long time to kill it, and it won't be able to move on until it's killed. So that will give him time to get his battle units in there ready to kill. There he goes. Then he just orders his battle units. And he successfully saves that mech. There's no loss of production. Took him a couple of seconds to do. And so now we're seeing like he's cleared the space out, like he's emptied. There's no more scouts in his base. He knows that pretty much this area is clear. And so his cons are safe to go over here. And he can kind of see what Race is up to. He knows there's a unit here and a unit here. He's not blind, right? He's using his units to control the map. He sees a bunch of units here that are stronger than the units that he has and outnumber them. So he's pulling these ones back now because there's no point losing them in a fight here. He is going to pull them back until he can get some reinforcements, either from the main base or from nearby areas. And then it's worth going the fight. So this is a really important skill here, is to pick your battles. If you just send your units in one by one against units that they cannot beat, they're just going to get eaten alive. So this is a very good skill. He sees that there's 4 tanks versus 3 K-bots. It's just not going to work, so he pulls back. So what he's doing here is he's actually sending these units out. He's continuing them to his base, to Race's base, because he knows that to really get an advantage, he needs to slow Race down. He needs to place some attacks, and also it's very time consuming responding to attacks of units in your base. So he knows that he needs to start putting pressure on Race's base. So instead of using these units for battle, he decides to ship them off, and he knows that the units that are in his base and around will be able to get to where they need to protect by the time that these units get here, because he can see that distance, right? So he knows that from the mega map view. Let's carry on here. He's checking his cons, making sure that everyone's got commands. So he pulls this con back. This is a con that was building, and he sees that threat. He does not want to lose a con, especially this early in the game. Cons are expensive, and it's also the time that it takes the con to get here it's all lost time, right? And so he really wants to keep this con, and changing the position of the con, yes, will mean that he has to reassign commands to it, but it's better than losing a con altogether. The time doing that is worth it. So he pulls this con back to safety, and he knows these units can come in and protect the con. And then he regroups these units to start fighting these gators. So Harald can see that his metal is starting to slowly climb up, and I think intuitively he knows that it's time to drop a second lab. So the timing of this is really key. You do not want to excess your metal. You do not want to be bleeding metal and then decide, oh, I need a lab. He's dropping it right at the point where he has enough metal for the lab, right? This is really key because it means that he can get his units out faster, control more map, and not excess metal. He's actually dropping 2 labs, so that he just knows that he can afford that, given the amount of expansion that he has. That's something that comes with experience. I'm still not there yet. I might have only built 1 lab where he built the 2, and most likely I would have excess metal. He's now in Race's base, and you can see he's not spending a whole lot of time, controlling each of these units. He knows what points are important to go for, so he generally just sends them off in the direction that they need to. So he sees there's a con here, and he sees that this is a double mech spot, so he knows that this is a priority. But he's only got 2 units defending this, but he's got 5 units, so he does a beautiful thing here where he splits them up. And now how do you defend against this, right? And you can see like Race is kind of like delayed response and doesn't really know what to do in this situation, or isn't able to respond fast enough. And then within seconds, he's lost 4 mechs and he's about to lose a con as well. Crazy lucky movement from Harald there. So did you see how fast that was? That was just lightning fast. He just looks on the map. He sees those units coming. He immediately starts building some defense and sends units up in that direction. The units, sorry, I missed it, but you can see these units up in the map, in the corner of the map. Constantly wants to keep some pressure on Race, so he sends them in towards the Race. You don't want to leave them parked because the enemy will build radar and eventually find them and destroy them. So he's constantly keeping some pressure on Race, which is going to take away the amount of time that the enemy can really spend on controlling the units that are inside your base. This is beautiful here. So this con's all alone, right? It's got this 1 laser tower. He didn't get the 2nd tower built, but he's got that 1 tower, right? So his units are far away, so he needs to stall time before the units can get there to defend. So watch what he does here. This is a high-level pro play movement here. He nano blocks using windmills. The laser tower is still doing work, and so are the peewees. So he ends up saving this con beautifully, albeit with a little bit of health. There's a lot going on here. He's defending his base, he's expanding, and he's attacking race all at the same time. And this comes with experience and skill. He's very fast, and this is why I'm pausing and playing the video to try and break it down for you. But he's doing an extremely good job here. This would be very difficult to play against. K-bot means that he has more units on the map because they're cheaper and they come out of the factory faster. The vehicles that Race has, the vehicle start that Race had means that, you know, he basically has to pay a little bit more for his units and they take a little bit longer to get out of the lab. So he sees that high level unit, that leveler. He knows that's a strong unit. That's going to destroy these, right? So he decides to take 2 of these units out west and 3 of them in towards the base. Why would he do that? Well, these 3 units here, they may be able to take a mech out or 2 if they're lucky. But sending these units back out here, even though they're not going to be able to beat this unit in a fight, it's still a threat because these units can attack the cons. So he knows that if he has to send a con out here, he has to send it with reinforcements. And while he's sending reinforcements up this way, it means that Harald is saved from the reinforcements getting sent to his base. So these 2 units, sending them back out this way, instead of just sending them in here to die, he sends 3 to maybe grab 1 or 2 mexes, and he sends these other 2 back out west just so that they can be annoying and also scout and keep an eye on what Race is up to on the outskirts of his base. Meanwhile, he's got the units that just defended that attacked. They're going to continue expanding out and gaining more map control. He sees these units are coming in, so he's going to use his reinforcements from his base to come in here. And then these ones, these units here are the leftover units from the previous expansion. They're going to continue harassing Race. So what he's doing here is he's pressing Control B. Control B. This is constantly finding cons that do not have commands, and you can just quickly press Control B and cycle through any cons that you have on the map. Very useful keyboard shortcut, and it just means that he can start expanding, or if he's low on energy, he can build energy or whatever it is that he needs to do. But as long as he's got a con somewhere out in the field, he can just hit Control B and just keep issuing a small batch of commands. Generally, I don't see the pro players giving more than, say, 3 to 5 commands at a time. They don't give like a big list of things to do. They just give a few commands, but they constantly giving commands. They cycle between controlling the individual battle units and dealing with their expansion and their production queues. So he's defending very well. He has not been attacked once yet. He hasn't lost a mech or a con yet. Race has lost a couple of cons. Oh, he's about to lose another. Potentially. Again, see him sending those units out to the east. Time to drop another lab. See the metal up here? Constantly keeping an eye on his resources. Never excessing, never stalling. He's doing really well at this minute because you can basically see like he kind of knows that Race doesn't have any units below this line because the way the units have expanded out, they've covered a lot of territory, and he knows from the units that have been in his base that Race has been so caught up trying to defend that Race is kind of trapped to with this quarter of the map, and Harald has just so much more of the map controlled, really. That's another Control B right there. So it's a bit hard to see, but like you can see he's got cons everywhere, right? So one of those factories back back down here in the corner of his base is basically just constantly producing cons. And he's got another 3 factories that are producing his army units. So if you didn't have multiple factories on a map like this, it makes sense to have multiple factories and stay a little bit longer in T1. It's this map really invites you to hang around in T1 a little bit longer. On the team games, around 10-minute marks, a lot of people are switching over to T2. But on a map like this, that could be your demise because it's just too expensive and there's too much map to control. The T1s can do a lot more damage to your opponent. So but I'm just saying, if he did have only one lab, he would need to make sure that, he builds, say, 10 to 20 battle units and then 1 to 2 cons, right? And that kind of ratio, something like that, right? You need to make sure that cons are coming out of your factory. You cannot build just all battle units. You need to make sure that you're populating the battlefield with your cons as well. And he hasn't lost a single con yet, which is great. But generally, you might lose a con or two, so you want to account for that as well. So he's building energy storage now, probably because he intends to switch to air soon, or maybe even just to switch to T2. So this is really good. Instead of having his units all spread out like this, he's regrouping them into a single location, so that then they can do a more effective attack. If you just set them all in like this one now, one by one, they're most likely going to get picked apart by either static defense or these heavier leveler units. So he's just regrouping them here. He's doing very well on his resources. He's got plus 53, I think, metal, maybe 63 metal coming in. I can't quite see. And he's got nearly 1,000 energy coming in. So very good economy of 10 minutes into the game. He's got units controlling the battlefield. He's got a lot of radar around. He can see what's coming before it comes. And he's keeping a lot of pressure on Race, like constantly giving Race something to defend against, which is keeping all of Race's units in that top corner, right? Mostly. But even though they come, like Harald can see, like see all that radar he has, all those green circles. He was just placing some air defense down. And so he has time. Look, he has time and he has units to respond to this because of the radar. Radar is absolutely key. So you can see, like he sent his Race's units were coming this way, so he started regrouping these units toward the middle. Then Race sent these units that way. He constantly adjusted and moved them this way, and then Race switched again to try to come back around this way. And he's just constantly keeping an eye, on it. He's not getting too caught in a single. He's not getting too caught in a single activity, right? He's spread out he spread his attention across expanding, attacking, and defending very well, actually. Very, very well. There's that nano block again. It's keeping that con alive because why not? I mean, he could afford the cons, but he could afford to lose a con, but why? Why would you lose one if you don't need to? He's very fast, he's very decisive. Like I said, this is high-level gameplay. You don't have to play like a madman like this, but just to give you an idea of how to protect your expansion, balance, your eco. You're not building a T2 lab 5 minutes into the game and draining all your eco. And the importance of radar. This con has like survived so many attacks. I don't think Harald has lost a single con this whole game. But yeah, anyway, if you wanted to watch the whole game, I'll send a link over to Harald's channel so you can watch the whole game. But I just wanted to give you an idea of the start and a couple of the decisions that he made and a couple of the tactics that he used from my point of view. Hopefully it helps. Yeah, thanks.